What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for Dirty John episode 2. It's a limited series. I don't really need to say season 1 episode whatever. It's a 6-part series, I believe, on Bravo. And it is, I told you guys last week, it's based on a podcast, which is based on a true story. So, you know, you're looking at a true story. And as I'm watching it, it's sticking pretty close to the podcast. Like, you know, sometimes with when they turn stuff into movies, into, you know, made for TV movies or whatever, they do real Hollywood. They get real Hollywood. But for the most part, it's a few little quirks here and there to just make the storyline flow. But for the most part, it's sticking pretty close to what the podcast gave us. So this episode, okay. We pick up where they left off, where they got married. Sorry, y'all got distracted. Where they got married. So now they're married, but nobody knows. Because remember, her family hates him. Nobody knows that they're married. Now, the mom doesn't really hate him as much. The mom is just like all about peace and love. And she sees the good in everybody. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Well, no, we can go ahead and talk about it now. So there's a thing in the family's dynamic where, and I kept calling her Donna. Her name is it Deborah? It's a D. I keep calling her Donna, but it's Deborah, I believe. We see where her sister was actually murdered by her husband in a domestic situation. And the mom actually ended up forgiving the husband, to the point where the husband really didn't serve a whole lot of time, and he was out of jail. And so we see a scene where the mom at church, they're at church, and the mom hugs him after church, and, you know, Deborah's rolling out. She's like, I can't do this, you know, and John is like, what's up? You know, isn't that your brother-in-law? Like, he don't know what's going on, but he really know what's going on. But anyway, we get a little ahead of ourselves. So, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. They're married. He's playing perfect husband. He's making her a smoothie every morning. He's checking the temperature of her shower to make sure it's the right temperature. He's putting the toothpaste on her toothbrush. And when I say he's doing it every morning, honey, he is doing it every morning. You know how sometimes people do stuff just to lull you in, and then when you get comfortable, they stop. Not John. See, John know how to play it. He know he full of shit. And so he knows that really, in order to keep this con going, he got to keep her happy. And so it's those little things that make us happy. And I say us, I'm saying as a woman. That would probably make me happy for about a week. After about a week, I'd probably be sick of you making me a smoothie every morning. I never want you to fix my shower water. And I damn sure don't want you putting nothing on my toothbrush. But it's a cute gesture. It's whatever. And then we see them going to church. And like that's where we see the scene where her mom hugs the brother-in-law. And see, when you tell a lie, it's the little things that make people kind of give you a side eye. So John had lied about going to the same church that she went to when he was trying to wine and dine her, but it was a mega church. So, you know, you go to a mega church, you may or may not know somebody that goes to that church. And it don't even have to be a mega church. My aunt goes to a church that somebody that I used to be friends with, and they never knew each other. And they were both very active in the church. But if you go to the 8 o'clock service and somebody else go to the 11 o'clock service, and you on the usher board and they on the choir and you do Girl Scouts and they do, you know, the sick and shut-in ministry, you may never run into each other if it's a congregation of a couple of thousand people, right? So it was very feasible that they did go to the same church and didn't know each other. But this way he slipped up. He gonna call the pastor a priest. And his mother was like, priest? You mean pastor? And again, she just wrote it off as, well, he grew up Catholic, so it's easy to make that mistake, which is true. I grew up Catholic, and sometimes I slip up and I say priest. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's a little white lie, and you may not get caught in that lie, but it just makes people kind of give you a little bit of the side eye, like, okay. Alrighty then. So they come home from church. And she's taking her shoes off, getting comfortable and everything. And there's this crazy woman inside of their apartment. And the woman is deranged. And, you know, she's like getting ready to attack. Or at least it seems like she's getting ready to attack Deborah. And John comes in and saves the day, kicks the woman out, they call the police and all that good stuff. Now, in the podcast, they were never clear if this was one of his women and he set it up, because it played out perfectly, because from that point on, she could talk, he ended up talking her into getting cameras for the house, getting cameras for her business, just tightening up security and stuff, which worked to his advantage, because now he had cameras and he could watch her and see what she was doing. You see what I'm saying? He could even watch her at work if he wanted to, because if he had access to the app, right? Then there's another thing he did that I don't even think he was anticipating what happened this time, right? He has cash. He goes to her. He says, look, are you going to the bank? He said, look, I deal with a lot of uninsured people. It's all on the up and up, but can you just deposit this cash for me? I can't put it in my account. I got problems with the IRS. My ex-wife, we had the bankruptcy real bad. So he's like, every time money situation comes up, he makes it seem like he blames it on his divorce and blames it on his ex-wife, making it seem like that's what's making his situation bad. But at the end of the day, or on the flip side of it, what really it boils down to is you on that bullshit, because he has a bunch of cash and he wants her to put it in the bank. Now, his mindset was, I want her to put the money in the bank and basically launder this money or do whatever she's going to do with this money. She was a little hesitant. She wasn't really crazy about putting money in her bank account. She said, but I tell you what. She said, I keep money in the house for a rainy day. Why don't you just put your money with my money and we'll just do it that way rather than you putting it in the bank. So he was trying to get access to her bank account, I think, by putting money in the bank. Then he could always come back later and be like, oh, well, let me get my debit card, or can you take out $1,000 cash from me, or whatever, where he could sort of get a little, I think that's what he was trying to do. But then he ended up really getting a better situation, because when she went to the little Gucci duffel bag in her closet, she had almost $100,000 worth of cash in the house that he didn't even know about. So you'd have told this man you keep that kind of cash. He said, well, how much money is this? She said, well, I don't know. She said, I just take $1,000 out of my paycheck every month, because, we never know if it's going to be an earthquake or, any type of emergency situation, and I might need cash in the house. So now he knows and has access to way more money than he probably would have had access to had you just deposited that damn money in your account. And I shouldn't say that. You probably got more money in the bank. But you know what I'm saying. Like, you would have been able to really control. Now, you don't know what he's doing with that money. When he dipping in it, what he taking out of it. And you're not paying attention to it because your ass didn't even know how much was in there. Anyway. So then the daughter comes through, the one that she used to live with. And she wants to put a tracker on the car. She said, Mom, do you not realize that there is something wrong with this man? Do you not see this? And she was like, I know you believe that. But I love him. He loves me. And that's that. Now, mind you, they still don't know that. The family still doesn't know that they're married. Now, if you so convicted in your love for this man, but you still ain't told the family that y'all are married. But she asked, well, can I just put a tracker on the car? And she said, you know what, if you want to do it, fine. But whatever. So the daughter does. The daughter buys a little tracker to put on the Maserati, right? And then the youngest daughter, the one that she got into it with at Thanksgiving, that she ended up putting out the house or whatever, she doesn't want to go to Christmas, and they go to therapy and everything, and her big thing was, well, I don't want him with the kids. I don't want him getting close to the nieces and nephews, because when y'all break up, it's going to hurt them too much. But when I tell you that this little girl was so upset, like she was crying and boo-hooing when he showed up for Christmas and was playing with the kids, and she was like, she promised he wouldn't play with the kids, and he wouldn't have anything to do with the kids. She promised. I don't understand. I ain't understand why that was such a big deal, but okay, whatever. Like, not to the point where you sitting there caught up in a ball crying about it. Like, I ain't see what the big deal was, but okay, whatever. I mean, we know you don't like him, but what's the big deal about him playing with the kids? It's Christmas. They got toys. Anyway, then the nephew comes in, right? Now, this is the son of the woman who was shot in the head by her husband. This is her nephew. And at first, him and John hit it off pretty good, right? They talking, they chopping it up. They had dinner over to the house, and then we saw him over the house another time, and everything seemed to be going pretty good with them until he makes a smart ass comment about shooting Deborah in the head with a Winchester. The nephew was like, Toby. He was like, excuse me. He said, what did you say? And she was like, what did you say? And Toby was like, you told him, right? Like, you told him about my mom. Like, why would you say that? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. We're in Reagan country. It was just a joke. It was a bad joke. I'm sorry. But he knew exactly what the fuck he was saying. And he knew what he was doing when he did it. But once again, it's those little things that people kind of give you the side eye about. They can't really prove that you were being malicious, but they know you were being malicious, that kind of thing. So at Christmas, the daughter put the tracker on the Maserati. So now we can trace the Maserati, right? Then at work, her co-workers not co-workers because she owns the business, but they're not really happy about the cameras because they're like, is it that you don't trust us? What's going on? And she said, no, it has nothing to do with y'all. It has to do with, we had a break-in in the house. We had this woman that just, wandered into the house. And, we have a lot of workers. Because John was like, cause remember she has an interior design business. And John was like, you have a lot of people that come in and out of here, delivery men and stuff like that. And it's just, you need to be more secure with your things. And it actually helped out with the insurance. So she was like, okay, well, And so she told her assistant, she said, no, it's not that I don't trust you guys. It's nothing to do with that. She said, it's just that we had the break-in and, we just feel a lot more secure with it now. But then her assistant was like, well, we have the same system at home. We love it. So we can watch, Charlie. Charlie's their dog. And she was like, oh, you can look at the cameras from your phone? She said, yeah. She said, you want me to show you how to do it? Download the app. She was like, yeah, could you? So she's starting to kind of, you see that her wheels are ticking. She's nowhere close to accepting that this man isn't who he says he is. But the wheels are ticking a little bit on little small things. Just little small things. So Violet, the daughter, she done went and hired a private detective. At first she ain't had the money, honey. She went and sold one of her Chanel bags because she keeps them in pristine condition. And she was able to get more than enough money to pay for this private detective. So the private detective in no time flat was able to find some things about him. One of the first things the private detective found out was he is lying about being a doctor. He's lying about owning homes. Come to find out, he used to live in a trailer park with a woman. He's lying about being in Iraq. She said, why do y'all keep saying something about him being in Iraq? They said, well, isn't that where he was in Iraq? She said, look, he may have been in Iraq before I met him, but he wasn't in Iraq during this time period that y'all talking about. That didn't happen. So they're starting to catch him in all of these different lies. So Toby, the nephew, goes back to Deborah. She says, look, Donna, Deborah, whatever. And he says, look, we found out all these things about John. Like, I know that you really like him and everything, but, we found these things out about him. And she was like, are you listening to Violet? He said, no, we got a private detective. I'm listening to the private detective. And these are facts. And he was like, you may not want to accept it. You may not want to, listen to it, but you got to believe what the facts are. Like, you don't have to listen to us. Believe what we found out. Like, we drove up to the trailer park. We met this woman. Like, we know these are facts. So, of course, she does what women do. She gets mad at him and she tells him, look, I understand, you don't have to like him, but I love him and you just got to deal with it. And she basically now Toby's in the same category as her daughters are. And she goes to see her mom. And she's telling her mom, nobody likes him. They don't understand what he does for me. They don't understand how good he is to me. And the mother's like, I understand. And I like him. And I know that you love him. And, all that other stuff. Now, while that's going on, Toby goes to confront John and lets him know, look, I know you're lying. I know you're not who you say you are. And, my Aunt Deb is going to figure it out soon enough. And when she does, we're going to kick your ass out. And John is like, oh, really? That's what you think? He said, look, let me explain something to you. He said, we're married. And you could have knocked the nephew over with a feather, okay? He said, yeah. He said, you're looking real stupid right now. We're married. And face it, you don't have an aunt anymore. You've lost her. You've lost her to me. He said, and you're looking so stupid right now. I'm glad your mother isn't here to see this. See, that would have got his ass kicked. The minute he dared to speak my mama's name out his mouth, that would have got his ass kicked. But okay. So that's kind of where we starting to see where he's weaved his way into the family. He got the mama loving him. He got all the kids against him. Got the nephew against him. And he's coming at her like, it's me and you against the world, boo. It's me and you against the world. So she comes home and she's all upset and everything. She goes to the mailbox and come to find out there's a letter in her mailbox from the state penitentiary addressed to John. Now, she went to go open it. Now, let me say this. I don't care how questionable things might be. You can't just be opening up people's mail. Well, he caught her opening up the mail, snatched it out of her hand, and went off on her talking about something. You know, it's a felony to open up people's mail. What are you doing opening up my mail? Now, he was right from that point of view. He was right. Like, he had every right to have mail sent to his house, and you ain't had no right to open his mail. But, again, it started the... Now, he apologized, and he said, you know, it's just a friend of mine who got into a lot of trouble, and I've just been trying to be there for him. I'm sorry for snapping at you. But she was just like, you okay. Got my eye on you. So, she ends up sneaking into the house. You see her hiding from the camera, because now he got the camera set up. And just like she can look at the app from her phone, she believes that he probably is looking on his phone, too. So, she just snuck into the house, and he had a drawer, a dresser drawer where he kept all of his documents. 2 bottom drawers in the bedroom where he kept, or in her office where he kept all of the documents. Well, come to find out, she, like she said, she's curious to know more. So she snuck into the house. She hiding from the camera. She goes into the drawer and she starts pulling out all his papers. And honey, she starts finding court cases, court dockets, restraining orders, harassment orders, stalking orders. She found the letter from the jail. She read the letter. Like, she is finding all this evidence that shows that this man is not who he claimed to be, and that he's not who she thought he was. And I mean, she found a whole rap sheet, all the way down the rap sheet. Stalker, 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 right? And that's where the episode ends. So, honey, we're going to see where that takes us. We're going to see where that takes us. Drop it in them comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think.